ActiveCampaign newsletter. In this video, I want to cover how to send a newsletter from ActiveCampaign in less than 10 minutes. Now, we're going to use the campaign one-time feature, not the autoresponder capability. Some of the things I'm going to highlight are using the segmenting ability, conditional content, and then please test on both mobile and desktop. And then finally, resending, what you can do there. So let's dive right in. Inside your ActiveCampaign account, you've got the ability to view previous campaigns or simply go straight to creating a campaign. So I'm going to go ahead and click on campaigns, and let's start at the end, which is resending. So one option you have, or I should say a few options, are resend options. And you can create a new campaign based on this. You can send to new contacts that have been added since this was sent. Or, this is the one I typically do, send to contacts who've not read or opened this campaign. But to get started with the campaign, let's click on Create a Campaign. You want to give it a name. I'm going to say Newsletter. And we're using standard, not anything besides that. It's easy enough to set these up, but for what we're doing here, it's just a newsletter. I want to have control on when I send it out. I just want to force it to go when I want. Now you're going to need to select a list or lists. I'm going to pick the family list. And segmenting. This is a key feature here. So what it allows you to do is include or exclude people that may be on your list or lists. A good example would be, for instance, somebody signs up to your list initially and you have like a 7 email sequence onboarding. So you don't want to disturb them sending out daily broadcast at the same time they're in this onboarding sequence. What I usually do is I apply a tag to those people called Do Not Disturb, and anytime I send an email, like a daily email, I exclude them. And the way to do that is create a new segment. I've already done that. It's called Do Not Disturb. And let's edit it and I'll show you what it looks like. And it applies to this list here, and it's for anybody that does not have this tag, the Do Not Disturb tag, they're included. So that's a good way to segment out people that you either want to include or not include. I'm not going to click on save, or update, or anything like that. So then you want to go to next, the design step. So my recommendation is you pick a theme or a template or create your own and then use it over and over again. What I like to do is simply go back to a previous campaign and pick out one of the recent emails that I sent. I tend to follow the same format. So I'm going to go ahead and use this template right here. I'm going to call this, or give this a subject, continue. And then this is my typical layout, 650 pixels wide. I've got an image at the top that I simply replace, maybe a little description, and then the content right there. And then over here, I've got some nice features. I can add in stuff simply by dragging and dropping. So this here is a image block, and this is a text block. That's about the extent of what I use. Sometimes there's a button. The video I've never used, tell you the truth. For RSS feed, you could do that. I'm not going to talk about that here. Social links, HTML block. In general, it's text and image that I'm using. So let's talk about some of the important things, or kind of the cool things that you can do right here. I'm going to add another text block right below here. I'm just going to copy some text in, and the reason I'm doing this is because I want to get the font and stuff to match. And this font is for Dana 18, so let's make sure this is the same thing. Nope, that's Arial 18, same style. Okay, now what I can do here, I'm going to do a PS. I'm going to say buy my stuff. Now, of course, I would not do that, but that's the idea. And then I'm going to put a link here. I'm going to click on, so this would be a link to somewhere they could go to buy something. Of course, this isn't the right URL, but let me point this out. You can add an action. At this point, if somebody does something when they click that link, you could add a tag, put them in another automation, or any of these other options. That is a powerful feature. That way you can identify who is interested in what you have there. So you can add an action. Second thing is I can make this content be conditional. In other words, it only displays to certain people. And a good example would be, and I'm going to go ahead and click on that gear icon, click on make conditional, would be something like if a tag does not exist. So if they're not, usually when someone becomes a customer, I add a tag called customer-product name. So if they don't have that, that implies they haven't bought the product, they're not a customer. I'm being smart about who I make offers to. I'm not sending an offer to people that have already bought. I'm only sending it to people that haven't bought. And you can get complicated here. Just be careful of this little guy here. This is basically and, when it says all, or any, which is an or. And again, this is worth testing. So I'm going to say if they don't have a particular customer tag, in this case, customer online. So this is only going to show to people, if I put my mouse over, you can see, it will only show if the tag customer-online course does not exist. So that is a powerful feature here. And then next, we're getting towards the end. We're basically making sure everything's right. There's a subject. One thing that you can put here is pre-header text. And what this does is it shows content typically like on a mobile device in the preview section. And this is a great way to kind of encourage people to get into your email, a little curiosity content. Otherwise, they typically pull from the first few lines of content. But you can force this to show a particular content, which is really kind of a nice thing to do. And then it summarizes, and it's not a bad idea to look here and see how many contacts. Does that make sense? You know, I've got 6 or 5 people here, and I want to make sure I'm not sending to anyone that has the do not disturb tag. Definitely want to, in my opinion, have the open read tracking on, link tracking on if there's a link in there. Doesn't mean you're necessarily doing anything, but you can get reports on that, and that's useful information. I don't 100% trust open read tracking because sometimes people don't have images enabled, and as a result, it doesn't register in open. Link tracking is much more accurate. And then finally, you can schedule it. Currently, it's off, which means I'm going to send it right away. So if I clicked here, it would send now. And then importantly, please, please, please send yourself a test email and then look at it both on desktop and mobile. You want to make sure that it renders properly and all the links work. So click on all the links that are in your email just to verify. So in this case, I'm going to set it to schedule, and this will change from send now to finish. And I'm going to change it till, when am I going to change this? Let's do tomorrow. And then finally finish, and it will show inside your campaign dashboard as a one-time email, and it has not been sent, right? That's how you send a newsletter using ActiveCampaign.